Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today in the Locker Room. I'm Alan Locher. Susan Lucci made her debut as Erica Kane on the ABC daytime drama All My Children in January of 1970 and played her for the entire run of the series for 41 years. And during her time in Pine Valley, Erica was married, I believe, 10 times. And to some of those men, she married twice. And some of those may not have even been legal marriages. Eden Riegel joined the cast as Erica and Travis's daughter, Bianca Montgomery, in July of 2000. Bianca came out to Erica on Christmas Eve in 2000, and this story catapulted Eden and Bianca into becoming a gay icon for the LGBTQ plus community. Alicia Minshew took over the role of Kendall Hart Slater in 2002 after the character's 7-year absence. She is the child conceived when Erica was raped at the age of 14 by Richard Fields. It really is a shame that there's been no drama in these ladies' lives of these iconic characters. We sure have a lot to get to today. Please welcome to the Locker Room Emmy Award winner Susan Lucci, Eden Riegel, and Alicia Minshew. Hello, ladies.
Girls, hello.
Hello.
Did that sound all about right there?
I thought it was right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Pretty much. We've been through a lot.
You've been through a lot. Susan, do you remember meeting these ladies for the first time?
Of course I do. Yes, and I remember having conversations about these ladies even before I met them. When Jean Daddario Burke, who was the executive producer at the time, that Agnes had finally been able to get that groundbreaking storyline put on the air, I felt so honored that she was going to tell that story and I was going to be part of it. And I sat in Jean's office and Jean told me some of the statistics about the LGBTQ community and how many teenagers and young adults in their 20s are really afraid to come out to their parents because they're afraid their parents won't love them anymore. Anyways, Jean and I both sat there with tears streaming down our face, and Jean told me that Agnes had the storyline, and they were going to cast a 16-year-old Bianca to play this part coming out to Erica, and I was so thrilled, as I said, to be part of this. But I said to Jean, "Oh, this is so wonderful," but I just hope that whoever they cast is a young actress who really gets it, Well, let me just say, I could not have personally ordered even better than Eden Riegel to come and play the part of Bianca. The best.
And then to have Alicia come on to play a child from something that happened so long ago.
Yes, exactly. And I did not mean to give short shrift to certainly not to you, Alicia.
I know Bianca she's more loved. It's just the way it is. Sorry, Kendall. I'm the fave.
I just was taking them one at a time. Of course. With Alicia, I didn't know that there were plans to bring back the Kendall Hart character. And it was so timely, as everything Agnes did. I mean, about a child who was adopted. It was actually a front page story on the New York Times about 6 months after this case was being planned. That there were some adopted children who were looking for their biological parents. This was becoming a big thing. And that's what I'm talking about. Excuse me. Going maybe a long way about this. But in any case, when they told me, and when I met Alicia, I could not think of anyone better cast in this part. First of all,
Susan, thank you.
Yes, and the way you played her with such empathy, and not just for your own character, which I think we all have to do. We have to love our characters to play them from the heart and from the inside. But also you got it because you knew all who you were working with, who you were playing to, what character you were playing.
Right.
To. And it was hard for me to play because I had a lot of hate for her character.
Right.
Not based on anything she had any control over. It was simply the circumstances of her being born when I was raped at 14 by a monster of a father. So all of that was in my mind, as Erica.
Yeah.
It was hard though, because Alicia is so fantastic. You have to kind of talk yourself off the ledge and say, wait a second, this is
the character. Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you guys made it easy. I mean, sorry, Alan. Susan and Evie made it easy because I worked with them my first day. So I had these two powerhouse ladies, but they were also very warm and embracing, gave me hugs, and really made me feel comfortable to play the character. So I think it's about who you're working with too, because they bring that out of you, of course. So thanks, girls.
Well, I want to flip the question in a minute, but what I want to say about the Bianca and Erica story is I love, because it doesn't usually play out this way so often, where the mother is not the one who accepts the child. You know what I mean? Like the mother having a harder time with it. You don't see played on television. It happens, but to see it is really...
Dude, like Susan is one of the bravest actors I know. The fact that you saw the arc of your character and were you're always willing to explore the most interesting sides of Erica, and the fact that she had such trouble accepting Kendall for reasons that were no fault of her own. I mean, and then the fact that she had such trouble with Bianca, and of course you added so much humanity. Every parent wants what's best for their child. She doesn't want her to have this difficult life. If there's any other choice, wouldn't you choose the easier path for your child? So it all came from such a human place and something that everybody could relate to, but you were willing to always play Erica, with all of her complexities and even her failures, because you knew that it was more interesting dramatically to see her chart the whole course and then end up on the other side. And you knew too, with this story that was very personal, that the audience needed some handholding, that some people, not everybody, but some people in the audience who were personally going through this, if they could watch Erica chart that course, it might help them get to the other side. Whereas if Erica's immediately like, yeah, we're doing this, I love my gay daughter, rah, 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 then that's not as relatable to people who are struggling with it. And I think that you have such a strong intuition for these things, and you knew the right way to tell the story. And I'm just so grateful.
Eden, thank you. Beyond thank you. I mean, this, as I said, I felt so lucky that Agnes wanted to tell the story that you're describing. I felt a responsibility to be respectful of everybody in real life who is going through these things.
Yes,
for everybody involved.
That respect helps those people watching so much, without you even knowing to the impact. And I'm sure, Eden, one of our fans just asked me, Jacarius, the impact that it had on you playing Bianca.
I mean, if there's one thing I was brought on this earth to do, I feel like this is it. It was so satisfying, so impactful in my life, so fulfilling, such a family. But to get to tell this story really felt like something that I did that did something good. We all just want to make the world a little better. I'm not, that sounds like so big-headed of me, but I feel like, we're all actors because we want to tell stories and we want to reach people and touch people's hearts, and to have gotten actual letters from people saying, hey, this helped my mom accept me and she was having a tough time, or this helped me accept myself and I was having a tough time. And I think that just is as meaningful and powerful as anybody can ask for.
You're amazing.
Well spoken, Eden. My God, you're so well spoken.
Oh, stop!
No, it's true.
I just haven't talked to another human being in 2
We've got contact. We've got contact again.
The LGBT community responded. Even suddenly we were asked to be the one to present the awards to those who had been trailblazers in the community, and Agnes being, of course, one of them. It was her story that she had to fight to tell.
Yeah.
And we were very, very lucky to have these words on a page every day, and to have people to work with and play those beautiful scenes with.
Crazy that
so honored.
The year that happened, that we still had to fight for it, because it's crazy. That wasn't that long ago.
You're right.
That we have, it shouldn't be that we're having to fight to tell such truthful stories. Yeah. But I want to reverse the roles. Alicia, when you auditioned, talk to me and screen tested. Did you know it was for Kendall?
No.
Did you know Sarah Michelle had played her? Did you know you would be Susan's daughter?
No. So it's funny. I had this acting coach I was working with, and he happened to be Sarah's acting coach, and he would always, brag and tell these stories about this wonderful girl. And so I knew of her and how wonderful she was. And yet I said,
how random.
Isn't that random?
Wow.
And so I knew how
New York. A lot of people there.
Yeah, right.
And then, and then when I auditioned for the role, it was the role of Candy. Judy Wilson, we all love Judy Wilson.
Yes.
She called me in a few times for different roles, but she said, this one, honey, she said, this one is fun. She said, just go and have fun with it. I was like, okay. So then I screen tested with Josh Duhamel. I mean, how can you not have fun with Josh Duhamel? Come on. And I just kind of let go and had fun with it. And I think, you guys know, when you let go and have fun, I think that's when you do your best stuff, when you don't worry about it. And again, I still didn't know it was Kendall until I think I got like the second screen test. And then she said, okay, sit down. She said, I want to tell you, you're going to play Susan Lucci's daughter. I about fell over because, of course, I knew who Susan was and worshipped her. So, of course, I got nervous and excited at the same time. And then she said, and it's the role of Kendall. And I had not watched the show leading up until the time I was screen testing. So I had seen Erica and Bianca together, and I was like, wow, those girls are so good. I had no idea that I was going to be able to work with them. So when she told me it was the role of Kendall, I kind of freaked out, not going to lie, because, big shoes to fill, different, I may have peed my pants a little. I mean, what can I say? I was really nervous, but I have to tell you, once my first day on set, the first person to walk out of the hair and makeup chair to give me a hug was Susan. And the second one was you, Eden. And the minute I met these two, and I think it was Cameron and Walt too. So come on, between the four of them, I felt at home and comfortable. And I really just tried to do my own take on it. Sarah was amazing. That was her time. This was years later. This was my own personal take. And I just kind of ran with it and played off of these two beautiful women who just brought a lot of stuff out, and they helped me. And, cut to 10 years later, I was like, I think I have Kendall now. I think I understand.
That really is the beauty of this industry, daytime. Like you said, Sarah Michelle can come and make her own mark. Yeah. You can, so many characters. I mean, Susan, you've so many who've probably walked through the doors who've made their mark. Been, somebody left and went on to bigger things and replaced. And, you were talking about the casting director. It's really, it's in their magic that they make us fall in love with these wonderful
Judy
characters.
Wilson is such a genius. She's such a genius. I mean, we're also lucky for her.
So for you, the same thing, Eden. Did you know right away it was going to be for Bianca and Susan's daughter?
I think I did, but the other part of the story, the coming out, was top secret. So I don't even know if you guys know this. I had auditioned to be Bianca like 2 or 3 times before.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Like when Lacey got it and when Natalie Paulding got it, I was in the mix.
Oh, wow. So funny.
Yeah. And it didn't work out for one reason or another. What?
You were on Broadway probably when Natalie
When that happened.
Yeah.
on Broadway.
Yeah, I was. Right. It may have not worked out, but I'm not sure. Or it just wasn't
timing is everything.
Timing is everything. Yeah. And obviously it was meant to be later, not earlier, but because I was familiar with the role when Judy, and I had basically quit acting at this point. I was up at college, and Judy Bly Wilson called me. I didn't have an agent. She called me like on my phone, and she said, "I really want you to come read for this role." And I was like, "I'm visiting my boyfriend. I can't do that. I'm busy." And then she called me 2 weeks later, and she's like, "I still have a really good feeling about this." And I was like, "Okay, I'll be in New York visiting my mom before I start an internship at the White House," because I was very in another direction, and sure, I'll read for it. And I hadn't read anything in a long time. And by the way, I went in and thought I bombed it. But then afterwards, she was like, "Just so you know, I'm calling you back. You're going to have a screen test for this. This is your role. And it's Susan's daughter." And I was like, "Okay, what's happening?" And then I went home, white as a sheet. And I was like, what's going on? Everything, my life is just about to change. I feel like my life is just about to change. And I did have a screen test with Susan, who was phenom, and had just been on the Tony Awards the day before, and I had watched them, and she was just this goddess. And then you meet her, and she just completely makes you feel at ease. I don't even know how you do it. Yeah. And then a second screen test with Josh Duhamel, and then I was like, I want this so bad. This is everything I want, and I had no idea yet. Still, then I had the meeting with Jean Daddario Burke where she
so was you still didn't know she was going to be gay.
Yes, this is what the story is going to be. And I, like an idiot, was like, okay. And because everybody was making such a big deal about it. And then she was like, "Oh, so I guess you're comfortable with it?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do this."
Crazy.
That's my story.
Oh my
Well,
God.
one of our fans, Eric, said, "You each are divine. Thank you for your work." And he wants to ask you, Susan, have you ever listened to the song Erica Kane by Urge Overkill?
I have. I'm so glad you remind me about that, though. Yeah, one of our producers brought it to my attention when it first came out, and I did. And it's there were a number of rap songs and Aaliyah came out with songs about Erica, or at least mentioned by name in the lyrics. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I wish I had. I wish I need to download it. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I need to hear it. I feel like maybe I have heard it. I think I'm going to listen to it when we're done here.
When we're done here. Eden and Alicia, what do you think you learned working opposite Susan?
Oh my goodness. You go first, Eden. I have a very long list.
I mean, yeah, me too. So much. The way she conducted herself on set was that is a masterclass.
Yep.
Treated everybody with respect, said hello to every single boom operator, grip, lighting, camera, asked about their family, introduced herself to every guest star, day player that walked through that set.
Yes.
And that for each of those people, that was one of the most memorable moments of their lives. And she could easily have just been like, whatever, I'm never going to see these people again.
Right.
I'm busy. I got to learn my lines, but never. I mean, she, and talk about giving it your all every single day, the absolute picture of professionalism. And that's an important thing for young actors to know. And by the way, we had a lot of young actors go through our set who are now extremely successful now. And I don't think that you didn't make an impact on every single one of those people and how they conducted themselves after that point. She's the Susan Lucci good vibes just permeate through this whole business.
You feel it. Yeah. Eden, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Susan sets the tone for she set the tone for the entire cast, entire crew, hair and makeup room, wardrobe, everybody. And the tone is just joyful and respect. She respected every single person. So when I would go on set, I would see how she treated everybody. And innately, I think even you and I probably would have done the same thing anyway, but to see Susan do it with such grace and charm and class and just really sincerity. She was always sincere. Remember Cleveland, our security guard, we would talk.
Oh, yeah.
You know, for me, it was like, okay, we're just going to treat everyone like a big family, but also to be super prepared. No one's
she knew her lines.
I need to be prepared. If you're going to do 25 pages with 10 monologues or whatever, you know, and cry and take your clothes off and cry again, whatever, you better be prepared. So
your hair out in between.
Change your hair. 10,000. Remember, we would have all those costume changes.
Oh yes.
But really, just how to take it all in stride, pace yourself, enjoy yourself, but just really, you know, treat everybody kind and have fun with what you're doing. Just be prepared. So I take that with me to this day, you guys. If I go on any other set, right, Eden, of course, you know, I just know I'm disciplined and I enjoy it and I love the crew and I love just being on the set and it's the tone that you set, Susan, really, exactly what Eden said.
And not every set is like that. And it's because they don't have her to say like, no, this is how we're doing this. And because of that, we're all truly a family and love each other. It also made things easier. Like I've said this before, but I didn't even have to act when I was in scenes with these guys because the love was so real that it just like, if I was ever having trouble connecting with something, I would just like look in Susan's eyes or look in Alicia's eyes. And I'm like, okay, there's the tears. They're coming through. I'm bawling now.
So if you're overtired or whatever, you just lock in and then they do it to you. And that's a gift. I mean, I think that's chemistry. I think it's true chemistry, you know, and that's just something that I think you're just blessed that just happens, you know. I mean, you can have chemistry with everybody, but you can have a special chemistry, I think, with certain people. And I kind of feel like that's what we had.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. You can have chemistry with everybody, and you have to when you're.
You have to, right?
Yeah,
right.
But you can have special chemistry, and I, you know, you said it. You girls innately are who you are, you know, and you were always going to treat people well and be prepared, and you're so talented. You know, you just innately are who you are, and you were always going to do that yourselves. But you're making me really very emotional saying beautiful things, and I thank you.
Well, it's so interesting because, you know, it's sort of how you talk about what we learn from our parents, you know, and when you're a young actor starting out and you get on set, you know, you pray that there's somebody like Susan who guides the young folks. Yeah. Susan, do you recall, were there certain ones, because you were really young when you started, you know, in 1970, was there somebody like that for you there that you know, I mean, it's probably your late beautiful mom who taught you to be the person you are, but sometimes, you know, there might have been somebody there who was that for you.
Oh, thank you. I was very lucky as a young actress coming in, and I will say, my parents were wonderful in the things that I learned from them. It was I was paired right away with Frau Heflin, who played Mona, my mother, who was so kind to me and showed me the ropes. And she had such an illustrious career on stage here and in Europe and England, and oh my gosh! And she had been involved with her husband in the McCarthy blacklistings. I mean,
wow!
History lesson at the same time. She was so empathetic and so warm and so smart and so down to earth.
Susan, sorry to interrupt. That blows my mind because Friday I'm interviewing Lee Grant, who was also part of that blacklist.
Oh
No
my
way.
God.
That's crazy.
Gosh.
That's just a random.
That's random.
That is so amazing.
Yeah.
And possibly Grant. I mean, I believe they were contemporaries and were involved in the same kinds of situations when they were, working on Broadway and in their early careers. And so I got to hear a lot of history of actors in the Actors Studio and Marlon Brando and from Fra at the same time. Also, there was Rosemary Prince, who I know was brought on. She was originally only going to stay for 6 months. She was a huge star in the daytime arena, and she was going to kick the show off. And she brought a lot of her star power to it. But she too, I saw each of these professionals bring their professionalism with them and do the work. And even though they were stars, Ruth Warwick in the Mercury Theater, Citizen Kane. These were, they all were they brought their star power, but they brought their sense of doing the work, doing what they love to do. I'm sure just like we all do what we love, lucky are we. The thing I will say about Ruth too, a couple things. First of all, she would show up at rehearsal. She was the grande dame, always.
Yes.
And she would show up in the morning in her casual rehearsal clothes, but you knew that she had been a movie star and she was coming from the Cape, and she was not. She was down to earth at the same time as she was glamorous, and she really was, no makeup. I mean, she was real. And then she put on her hair and her makeup and all of that. And she was like, she was the Hollywood diva, but always accessible. But she was not late for rehearsal. She would then get all dressed up, and then afterwards she would go in her travel clothes and she would fly to LA or Denver or Dallas or wherever she was going to do a charity event or an appearance. She'd come back, she'd be there the next day. So she was a role model in terms of what it would take to do all this.
Yeah.
And she did. And the other thing is that we used to rehearse our scenes of the show in order, the way you would do if you were doing a play on Broadway. And that meant a lot of running in between to change costumes. I mean, we did costume changes, hair changes, the whole works. And because Erica was a very busy character from
the jump,
we would stay on set in between. And then kind of, I don't know, run like crazy afterwards, but sometimes in between. But I would be on set quite a lot, and I would sit in Ruth Warwick's set in the library, the Phoebe Tyler Wallingford Library, that they never took down because it was so massive. It was just like there, and I would sit there, and Ruth would tell stories of her time working with Orson Welles, and she would talk about giving advice to men. She had been married several times, and it did not stop her at all. Actually, maybe it enhanced it. I really don't know. That young actress was wonderful to hear these stories. And then this is just the last thing I'll say. We used to get all of our criticisms, our notes, in something called red chairs. Alicia and Eden, I don't know if red chairs still exist.
When we did not, I did not experience red chairs. Sounds like you're in trouble.
I'm scared.
Yeah, it sounds like you're in trouble. My nephews used to have the blue chair. That's very funny.
Gosh.
So, because we rehearsed as like it was a Broadway play from beginning to end, then we had to get all of our criticisms, and we got them as a company of actors. So we had these red chairs that they would set up in the middle of the set, in the middle of the studio, where there were no sets, so we could all fit. And we would hear not only our criticisms, how bad we were and how good we had to be, like in a minute and a half to go on and do it, but we would hear everybody else's criticisms. Because that's the way we were shooting, we were on set, or you could see a camera to see everybody else's work. So I got to see Mary Fickett's work and Rosemary Prince's work and Ruth Warwick's work and Fra. I did the scenes with Fra, but so I knew what the criticisms were. I could learn so much you know,
Wow, that's
It's
awesome.
like-
And see how
it's
they
like
take a note and adjust.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Free
what the notes
schooling.
on scenes that I had seen.
True.
And the other thing is that, especially when our one of our directors, Henry Kaplan, who was very flamboyant and had a very, he was so funny, but it took me a while to realize he was being funny, but he was very funny.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so we all heard how bad we were together. So it was sort of a bonding experience for all of us at the same time.
You call that acting?
Yes, you call that acting?
Yeah,
Right.
He did my screen test. And I know Connell was very
my
Connell was one of our
So
directors.
Connell trained under him, and that's where it all came from.
Yes,
Connell
yes.
would come down and go, "You call that acting?" And then you'd be like, "Huh?" And then he'd go, "Well, it was very good sometimes, right? Or do better." And you're like, "Okay."
You?
Do better.
I love Henry.
Was he a closeted actor?
I think they were both. Wait, oh, Henry? I don't know.
Because it sounds, he sounds very theatrical.
Oh, of course. I
But
think they came from the theater.
performance out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was so sweet.
Yes.
And the side of him, when my daughter was born, I was looking for an antique christening gown. We didn't have one in our family. I just thought, oh, I had heard people talk about that. Oh, wouldn't that be beautiful? He overheard me talking about how hard it was I was having finding it. Henry's other job was he had a beautiful antique shop downtown, which I didn't know about at the time.
What?
Wow. I didn't either.
And like 3 weeks later, having overheard my conversation with somebody, he brought a christening gown to me for my,
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
yeah,
That's,
a wonderful human being.
yeah, he used to live in my building.
Oh, really?
That was around the corner from the studio. So
Oh,
I would see him over time as he got older and he had a cane and I was like, oh, there's the man that helped me get my job. And he would say hello. And I'm not surprised to hear that he did that, Susan. Like, he has this side to him that was really very sweet.
mm-hmm.
Wow.
Was.
That's wild. I need to definitely ask you all about the late Ray MacDonnell, who passed away on June 10th. Can you share memories? And I know, Susan, you just attended a memorial with all of your colleagues for Ray. So any memories of Dr. Joe Martin, please?
Oh, yeah. I'll just say this one thing and then you will talk about, because I was there with, I post on my Instagram about what a collaboration it always is, at all my children. And Ginger and Judy Bly Wilson were there, and Carol Short was there. Yeah.
I worked with Carol on As the World Turns. I love Carol.
Dynamo. And Lorraine Broderick, our head writer, who was
Right.
in any case, Julia Barr, Jill Larson.
I saw that picture. That picture made
Oh my gosh.
and that picture made me. It was like seeing your family. It was
Yeah,
like seeing your family.
Certainly felt that way.
Yeah.
I posted something about Ray, and what I said, and maybe you girls remember this for yourselves too. Whenever we had a scene with him, I mean, Joe was there from the beginning. Dr. Joe Martin. I married. First marriage was to Jeff Martin, his son. So anyway, so I've been working with Ray for a long time, but most of us, as time went on, we all worked with him.
Yeah.
He was the glue. He was the rock of Pine Valley. But we would have a lot of scenes in the hospital. Obviously, he was Dr. Joe Martin. But whatever the scene was, no matter what the dire subject matter was, most of us could not make eye contact with Ray during a scene, because this man he had an ever-present gleam in his eye that made us all just convulse into laughter. So there's I look at Ray playing a scene with him in his eye.
Funny.
That is so funny. What is it about doctors? Don Hastings on As the World Turns. Dr. Bob, like the same thing. He's the funniest man alive. What is it?
He was funny. Every time Kendall got hurt, I think I was in my two comas, my heart surgery, my two kids. He was always there, and I loved him because he was such the straight man when he would play Dr. Joe. But then they'd say cut, and he would say one line that would have me on the floor. Hilarious. but he had this very dry sense of humor.
Very dry.
He would just say one thing and I would be hysterical. And then they were like, okay, rolling. And I'd say, I'm sorry, hold on. Wait, Ray's making me laugh. Not even intending to make me laugh. He's just funny, but he's also, he's precious, right? Like he was really so sweet.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I loved having scenes with him because there was just a
so genuine, so warm.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that dichotomy with him before. Like because he's so stately, I guess. Right. I just think of him as like Ray. You know?
Right.
He really is like, it's totally different. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh man, what a sweet man.
Sweet.
What a sweet man.
Mm-hmm. What was it? Nice to see everybody, Susan, to get together. It's been a while.
It was the first time that most of us had seen each other in person between, everybody going here, there, and everywhere at COVID. Everybody was in lockdown. So it was wonderful. And to sit around a table and hear everybody's, we sort of tried to catch up and people telling stories of what they've been doing and listening to them. It was wonderful. It was more time than we ever really had together in the studio.
You're busy.
I remember Jill running one way and I was running the other way one day. And we played a lot of scenes together, but we had so much, we had to memorize. So we like running. And Jill said to me, I see you. But we can't make eye contact now.
It's so true.
It was a lot. It really was. It was nonstop. Hit the ground running, get there, hair, makeup, wardrobe. They're calling you to set, rehearse it, quickly maybe run to the bathroom.
We would try to squeeze in food in between. I was always like, I got to have my yogurt and my tea and some nuts. I got to eat before, because I know I'm going to be on set for a million hours. If we had one of our days where we would have 2 or 3 shows, those days you have to really pace yourself and like, okay, I've got 3 shows today and it's very emotional. So I need to really eat well and hydrate and chill and like just they're like marathons, right? But then when you're done, you're like, I did it. And it was actually really awesome, And then I go home and collapse and eat, right? Like I feel right, get ready for the next one. Exactly.
Well, and when you 3 were working together, you had a lot of drama, a lot of story. Bianca's coming out, the Michael Cambius, all of those things. If I would ask of working together, are there scenes that stand out of your favorites of working with all of these great ladies here? Eden, you want to go first?
Yes. Okay. I remember very clearly the night we did the coming out story, and it was Thanksgiving. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and it was a pretty late night, and everybody was traveling, but it was like time stopped, and we did that scene where we were matching, and I took off my earrings and my dress, and said like, "Do you see me?" And we were so connected. It was electric. That was chills. I know, right? Every time I think about it. And I feel like I'm right there. Like it's very, very, very present. And then with Alicia, the abortion clinic, that's the scene that stands out. I
knew you were I was hoping you'd say that because that's the one I was going to say. That was like my first sort of emotional scene with you. So it was earlier on. In my time playing Kendall, it was earlier on. So, but it was the first time we ever connected as characters, because we were like, because you were off, being awful and being a monster, in my opinion. Exactly. I was at the Pinecone Motel smoking cigarettes.
I remember that first scene. I remember being in hair and makeup and looking up at the screen and going like, oh, she's amazing. Oh,
I didn't.
Oh my God. No, I know. You're faking it. And you weren't even very good at it, but I was completely.
I was awful. But that abortion scene was just such a beautiful moment.
And for those who might not remember it, it was when Bianca was pregnant because of rape. And she was very seriously considering having an abortion because this wasn't something that she chose. and Kendall comes to see her, and you think that Kendall's going to say don't do it because I'm going to cry. She was because she was the product of a, you know, an unwanted pregnancy, and she is happy that she's alive, and you think she's going to say don't do it.
Right.
And then she says, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I support you. And it's, oh my God.
I know. I remember wiping your face and saying, I love you.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And it's so, and I think then all of a sudden it's truly just Bianca's decision. And then it becomes her choice. She is able to sort of wipe the slate. And obviously the show has told the story of abortion, and it's healthcare, and you know, it's very like we're very, you know, pro-choice, and we have told the other side of the story. But I think because it should be every woman's decision, her own decision, that was extremely powerful.
Yeah.
You are getting me emotional, but what's so emotional about it too is the genius of daytime writers when they get it right. Because like mining that rich history from Erica to Bianca and Kendall all in the same story is incredible storytelling. And when it hits the mark, and that's probably, you know, that's why I think we're both reacting to the emotion of it, because it's perfect storytelling at its best.
You're so right, Alan. That's so great you point that out. And that's a real gift of what we got to do in daytime, because stories were told in real time sometimes, with history involved. And that was there even from my audition scene. I can tell you there was history in those pages between characters. It was character driven, and there were relationships, and it was all there. And when you talk about that storytelling, that was the whole thing. It was the stories. But then
we know how big Agnes's Bible was. Agnes's Bible was big.
Agnes's Bible was big, and Agnes was sure to tell all of these controversial stories in our culture from every point of view, because told from Palmer Cortland's point of view, or Erica or Alicia or Eden's point of view, our character point of view, Kendall and Bianca, they would all be different points of view. But there were some people in Pine Valley who may not see things the same as somebody else. But Agnes wove all of that in there too, so that the audience at home could see all the different points of view play out and hopefully come to the right conclusion for themselves.
Yeah. It's so true. Agnes was a genius.
Yes.
She was a genius, right?
Totally. Well, especially, I mean, Susan just said, like, Susan started on the show and she could read the history of, you know, a character that hadn't been on the canvas yet.
Exactly.
That's scene. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Susan, do you have a favorite scene with these two ladies that stand out?
You know, it's really hard for me to ever pick a favorite. I mean, I don't give just one birthday card, for example, because it doesn't tell the whole.
That's true. Oh my God. You know yourself so well.
That's good. Good way to put it.
I will say, even, you know, the story, the scene, because we would do, you know, many scenes every day.
Oh, yeah.
The scene that you described between us certainly would be the scene that I would say as well. I remember that so well. So well. And you're standing there, and the vulnerability in you and the strength at the same time in coming to that place where you would tell your mom the truth about yourself, and not knowing where it would go after that. And your character knowing where things would go after that. And that's a lot of stuff each of us had going. It was such rich material, and I'm so glad I got to play it with you.
Thank you. Me too. Right. And honestly, this is a big admission. I didn't really know how I was going to play that scene until we were in it. Sorry.
I think that's great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I just didn't know. I just couldn't really decide. And then it was only that's the beauty of working with these two. It was only when I was standing across from her that something takes over, you know?
It's so true. You think maybe it may go a certain way, or you don't know how it's going to go. But then when you're in front of the person, it's kind of like a little bit of magic that happens. Something just happens.
Oh, I love that you say.
I mean, that's really what it is. It just happens.
Well, you said it earlier, chemistry.
And you know what else it is? It's trust. Because I have that with every single person, but we three certainly had that. And you knew that you could trust that other actor, that they were going to give it everything they had. They were going to bring it all. They were going to leave it on the stage.
Right.
And you were safe to do the same. And you both were there for the same reason, to see what we could find in the scene and bring it out. And you were in such good hands with each person.
That's so true.
You know, I've certainly felt that with each of you. Alicia, there were so many scenes that we did together. And you know, I'm thinking of a lighter incident.
The lotion one?
The what?
The lotion
one, yeah. So funny. We had to fight. We were fighting and actually physically fighting.
I think I was helping you or something. We were outside. It was raining.
Outside, it was raining. We were in the studio, but it was raining.
Right. It was raining in the studio, right?
And there was a car that was also there. And both Alicia and I used body lotion, so we were like fighting, but we were slipping out of each other,
sliding off of each other.
That's great.
And the other part about this is now not the first time I've mentioned hair in this interview. However, Alicia has beautiful, naturally curly hair. Yeah. My hair is not as curly, but curly to wavy, and so mine out. And both of us wound up with a lot of curly hair at the end of that scene, right? And actually, I remember thinking, okay, this really, you can see mother and daughter then. It was kind of really an extra sweet thing that happened.
I actually remember that. I think that was when Erica was reliving her rape, perhaps.
Was that the standalone episode?
I'm not sure.
Like with the only 4, or it was something like that. Maybe
it may have been. It may have been, because I remember bringing you inside, Susan, and by the fireplace, and our hair was all wet. You know, mine like this. My God, my hair is huge today. But anyway, so
fabulous, very amazing.
I will say. But I remember when your hair dried, it was not as curly, but it was curly. I mean, you still looked gorgeous. It was just a different look for you, of course. But it was. And I was like, wow, look at how Susan, how beautiful she looks. And it's it was just interesting, because there we were, our hair both dried in these ringlets, and we were, you know, it was kind of a cool, like, real mother-daughter moment. And
a real mother-daughter moment. Were we in a fireplace at that point when our hair dried? I remember seeing us in profile.
Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, you know, it's a blur, but it was a long episode. You're right, Susan. I mean, Eden, it may have been the episode where it was like the double. It was one episode where I think Bianca was being
raped. Yeah, and you were reliving it, I think.
You were reliving yours in the rain, and and we did have a moment standing across from each other where we both had the curls, and it was just like, wow, there's the mother-daughter, and
so cool.
It was a powerful episode. I think you're right, Eden. That was it.
Eden, yes.
That was a special episode, because it was actually where Kendall bonded with Erica. It was like a true Kendall Erica bonding moment.
It was the first time, right? The guards were all let down.
Yes, yes. I remember putting slippers on you and drying you off. And
your pups, your doggies.
Doggy, I'm sorry. Hey, Pearl.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm everybody. So.
Did you share your favorite? Was that one of your favorites, Alicia?
That was one of my favorites with Susan. I mean, we've had so many fun ones too, where we throw things and fight, and of course the first slap across the face. But the ones where I connected with Susan really on an emotional level, I loved, because she's so giving. And that was the scene that I remember the most, was when we were just going through something together. You know? Do you want to come on? I'm going to bring her up here.
Yeah.
Susan, you must have, you played so much drama as Erica. But to get a moment that's funny, like with the lotion, must have been fun to do. But like I've told you, I mean, your role on Devious Maids as Genevieve was just fabulous. And when you were on Hot in Cleveland as well. I mean, do you love comedy?
I love comedy. I love comedy. That scene between Alicia and me was not meant to be funny. We had to hold it all of our and we were slipping. We were supposed to.
Yeah, it was dramatic.
Gotcha. Okay.
She's a comic genius. Susan's hilarious.
She's a comic genius. It's true. I mean, like we focused on like the more serious, dramatic things because they're very, they have quite an impact. But most of my favorite stuff was the stuff when Susan got to be the genius comedian that she is. The physical comedy, just Erica and her foibles. You definitely got to chant. Oh, it was amazing, and I'm so glad that now you're getting to do so much comedy because people need to see it.
Yes,
I love to do comedy. It's such a wonderful way to go to work, to be looking for the laughs. Wonderful. And anyway,
your timing. It's about comic timing.
Oh, her timing's perfect.
Right?
Well, you and Judy Reyes were brilliant together.
Oh, thank you. Judy was wonderful to work with as well. You're right. So, and she also comedy, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a good great cast. And again, and I learned, and I'm sure Eden and Alicia, you've learned too, it's we love what we do, but wow, when you're in such good writing hands,
oh my gosh,
then you can really have a good time.
It just does it. You don't have to do anything. The words are just there. You just have to you don't have to try to make it work because it just works when you have writing.
So, it's so important.
One of our fans, Jacarius, was asking what Alicia for you, but I know all of you worked with Rebecca Budig.
Yes, I spoke to her 2 days ago.
Did you?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
I speak to Rebecca probably once a week. We try anyway.
Oh my goodness, what's she doing?
She's wonderful. Her daughter, she's the most beautiful daughter, Charlotte. Charlotte, I think, is 6 now. She just got a new puppy too, so she knows what it's like to have a little dog. And by the way, there's a little Frenchie right on my lap, and you can't see her, but she's very cute. And she got quiet, didn't she?
Yeah,
she did. She just wanted some attention.
She needed a little love.
I'm massaging her as we speak. See, she's very zen right now. Rebecca's awesome. We've all worked close. Again, she was one of the first people that I worked with as well, and she was the one that I used to fight with a lot. We all worked with her. So she's another one, super prepared. She's super professional, beautiful actress, and she also has great comment timing too. She's really funny.
Yeah, she's super funny. It's true.
I feel like we have a lot of funny people.
Because soaps are for everything.
Oh, Guiding Light.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Guiding Light. Yeah.
Right, that was her.
Guiding Light, of course.
She came
her first. From Guiding Light to All My Children. I'm sure would send her love to all of you. I mean, I talk to her a lot, and she's please say hello. It's been a long. It's been a long time. Susan, if I say the streak is over, what comes to mind?
That thing.
Yeah, that beautiful thing behind you.
Oh yeah. I thought it would be appropriate since we're all getting
it's great.
It is. And I really love the painting behind it and the vase. I mean, it's a lovely tableau.
Well, thank you. That's the first painting that Helmut and I ever bought together.
You're kidding. It's gorgeous.
Wow.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
It's from the 40s. It's of the Viennese ice skating club at the time.
Oh, cool.
That's very cool.
I may not be saying the exact right translation, but
yeah,
that's
got it.
Beautiful.
Alan, you're so good at this. You guys, as we're sitting here talking with him, I was like, he's so exceptional at asking questions and listening and just like hanging. Like you're so really. It was so fun to do this with you because you're really. I'm really enjoying myself with you.
Good. I'm glad. That makes me happy.
It is. It's quite a skill. The interviewing. It feels like it has a lovely flow.
Right.
I started my career as a page at ABC. I used to give tours of All My Children, but I worked for Regis and Kathy Lee. Basically, that's where I got my start with them. So I watched the professionals do this very, very well.
So you got it.
For a long time. I didn't know I would ever be putting it to use, but
Right.
Yes.
That's a story all by itself. That's fantastic.
it really, I remember La Lucci, you were there all the time.
I interrupted because I wanted to talk about the painting, but you were saying the streak is over.
Oh,
And then I interrupted. And then Pearl interrupted. So the streak is over.
yeah, the streak is over. Of course, I think of the Emmy and that night. And Shamar Moore. We actually that night were in Madison Square Garden. We were in the garden. Usually every other time, the Emmys were held at Radio City. Radio City was closed for renovation. So we were in Madison Square Garden, and it was May. So we were sitting in the audience. And when Shamar Moore very charmingly announced the streak is over, I really thought he was announcing playoff scores. Because it was May and basketball, the seasons get longer and longer, and they're wonderful. But yes, in May, people would be wondering what's going on. And so that's what I thought. And then when he said my name, I didn't hear my name because I never heard any name after the 9th time that I didn't hear my name. Some self-protective thing, I don't know. But when I arrived that night, so I was seated in the front row, and next to me was I had the helmet on the right, and on my left was Rosie O'Donnell. And Rosie O'Donnell, when I sat down, said to me, "Susan, when you win tonight and you go up on stage to get your Emmy, give me your evening bag. Because otherwise you'll get all excited. You'll just stand on your bag, step all over it, and that will not look pretty on TV." So I love her. Thank you so much, Rosie. But history has taught me that I'm probably not going up on that stage. But thank you very much. Anyhow, so when Shamar Moore announced the streak is over, the only way I knew that I had won is that Rosie reached over and took my evening bag. My husband picked me up by my elbow, and then I heard the music. It was the All My Children music.
Oh, of course. Yes, that's amazing.
Music. When you heard that music, I can't even imagine how you felt.
But I was so afraid after not winning so many times. This is my 19th nomination. That for anybody who did see the broadcast that night, I whispered in my husband's ear, "Are you sure?"
Oh my God.
I was so afraid after all that time that I would just think I won. I don't know. And I went up there and it wasn't me at all.
Oh God.
So then I went up. And
you looked genuinely shocked. I remember that. It's such a famous clip. I remember the clip, and you looked so genuinely shocked. It was adorable. And so just like real. And amazing.
And I just watched, Susan, you present the award to Laura Wright in 2011 with Shamar.
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
You and he presented Outstanding Lead Actress, and I just watched that earlier today, which was fun to watch. So funny. Well, Alicia, you've been nominated a number of times. What do you remember about your first nomination?
I was pregnant with my first nomination.
Oh my gosh!
And I was I? Yes, I was. And I remember, I remember thinking, wow, what a cool year this is. I've got my little baby in my belly, and it was my first nomination. So for me, it was just very exciting. And I couldn't go that year because I think I was having early contractions, and my doctor didn't want me to fly. So I ended up not being able to go to the Emmys the year. And I was looking so forward to wearing a little pregnancy gown and like being on the red carpet. But it was just so fun, and I was in such great company that it sounds cliche, but it really was an honor just to be nominated.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so happy. It was just such a wonderful year for me. I had the baby coming, and then my close friend Tamara beat me anyway. So
right.
Tamara won. And I was like, well, my good friend won anyway, and I've got my Emmy right here in my belly, but it was an honor. And actually it's funny, the year that Laura Wright won is the year I was nominated for lead. And,
yeah.
Yes. She's so good. Like, how could she not win? and I remember that year because we were in Vegas. Even you weren't there, but in Vegas.
Wow.
And I hated my dress.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, I hope I don't have to go on stage with this dress. It was weird.
And how old is Willow today?
11.
Wow. Does she show signs of following in mom's footsteps?
You know, she actually loves, Eden, you might remember this when you saw Willow, she loves directing and creating film. She's always got her camera, like a real camera.
Yeah.
She's always shooting stuff and editing and planning her next shot. And so I said, maybe one day she can work with all of us, because she's actually going to a filmmaking camp next month.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, she appreciates acting, but she really is interested in the behind the scenes, and she wants to be a filmmaker and make stories, and she writes a lot too. So she's definitely creative.
Well, that's amazing at her age to learn. It would be brilliant because they soak it in, you know, the sponge that they are.
So Eden's husband, Andrew, is a writer and producer. And I remember she was picking Andrew's brain. How do you do this? And how do you shoot that? And she was, do you remember that?
Yeah, I totally remember that. That's incredible. Yes.
His brain of how to.
And she's still, I'm so glad to hear she's still at it. That's fantastic. That's a real passion.
It is, because I'm terrible at that stuff. So let her be directing. We'll just do our thing.
She'll be filming mom. She'll be filming mom one day.
Right. She'll make a documentary about all of us. She likes documentaries. So.
Ooh, cool.
You never know.
How fabulous she's doing that.
I'm proud of her that she's found something that she loves. I didn't push her into it. She's intrigued by it all. I think, you know, living in Manhattan, there's so much to see also. So she just takes her camera and shoots stuff.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to see the pup.
Did you see Pearl?
We did.
Hi, Pearl. Hi. She's very, very cute.
Thank you for letting her pop on. It was not planned at all.
Do we have to pay her?
No. You got to get her to sign a waiver.
Eden, I know you have to get back to work shortly. What do you remember about your win?
Oh, oh my gosh. I remember that everybody stood up. All my children cast stood up. That gets me. It still gets me. That was really, really meaningful. They said my name, and I looked back, and everybody I just felt so supported. I just felt so loved. And it really, obviously, it's not. These things are so random, whatever. And I would not have been in that position, getting that award, if it hadn't been for all those people, those exact people, and then some people that they put in the balcony, of course. They were probably standing up too, but that was very, very powerful. I've never felt so loved.
Well, let me read you this. Sabra just wrote, "Thank you, Eden, for playing a lesbian so beautifully and with dignity. I'm sure you saved a lot of gay kids." Mm-hmm. And I know this story was personal to you because you have a sister, right? Who's part of my LGBTQ community. Yes. What was it like for her to watch? You know, I know you spoke to her many times.
I think it was meaningful. I think, my sister is older than I am. And so when I was growing up, I always knew that Tanya was gay. And it was just kind of a fact of life. And you know how when you have family members, and I love her, support each other, feel so safe with her, sometimes you don't have conversations about really meaningful, important things in your life because it's a settled fact, if time has passed. I never really talked to her about her experience of coming out because, it was just we talked about other things, like what was going on today. So playing this role opened up a lot of conversations for us. And I think, probably, I think it was fun for her to watch me play this role. It was fun that her friends watched it and enjoyed it, and we shared that. And I could call her and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And she'd be like, "Yeah, it's fine." I'm like, we're people,
Humans.
anything goes. So
We're humans.
so
Yes,
it
we
was
are.
a little bit, yeah, it was a little bit like license to tell for me to it's kind of presumptuous to tell a story that isn't mine, that like I think I can relate, can I don't know. I'm so privileged, and I don't know if I really am equipped to tell this story and do it right. And so she empowered me to say, just tell your version of this, relate to it the way you relate to it. And I just strived to, tell it as honestly as possible. And sure, I got things wrong, but I tried.
I think, from the sound of the fans, it sounds like you really did.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Does the thought of, hearing about Pine Valley, a remake, does it excite all of you?
Of course.
I mean, yeah.
I want to hear what Susan has to say about
I yes, it would be in the right hands. The man who wants to do this is steeped in knowledge of the characters' relationships.
That's amazing.
Is this the writer who you're speaking of?
I would say more creator, but there is a writer involved who also really is good.
Well, I mean, I know Agnes's son Bob is involved.
Which is
huge. To have a piece of Agnes there is like
100%.
Oh, unnecessary. I mean, Bob and Sarah, his wife, are very much involved, and Kelly and Mark. So we'd be in such the perfect hand.
Yeah,
you'd be happy, and the fans would be happy because they're getting the real deal then.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's not someone outside the world who's trying to tap into the history. It's people that are a part of the history and have like an emotional invested interest in the history. And
exactly.
Their history is steeped in that history.
And then creating new and fun aspects of the way the world is now, kind of taking
definitely. And that, I know that's part of the whole plan, to bring it to what's going on now. So it could be really exciting, and I really hope it happens.
Well, just like we were just talking about, what you said, Susan, with the the casting side for Erica and the history steeped there. I mean, now we're 50 years since All My Children's debut. The history that they can mine for Pine Valley is just endless, really.
Endless. And also I think audiences can relate so much because many of them have been through it with us and lived through it with us, and people watching are also in this real world now. So it would be interesting, I'm sure, for them to see how the Kane women handling things and now, and how are they going forward. I just wanted to say something based on what Eve was talking about when you won the Emmy and you saw everybody standing. When I got up on stage, I thought I wouldn't be able to stand anymore. I could feel my knees buckling. I really thought I wouldn't be able to speak because I wouldn't be able to stand anyhow. And when I turned around and saw Kelly Ripa and the rest of everybody standing, and Oprah in the wings on the right, but looking out at that audience, in the whole industry, and I was thinking, oh my God, they are standing for my work. And really, we all are. I mean, the All My Children company standing for me. We were in the trenches together. And I mean, really in the trenches together. And to see the industry, all of them, they're in the trenches with their cast and crew. And they know what it is. And that they would be so generous as to stand for me. So much goes through your mind. And
Well, that streak was over and it needed to happen.
That's right. That's right. And they were all genuinely happy.
Oh my gosh, this is like a side note, but remember the Saturday Night Live sketch that Susan did?
Remember, wait, remind me.
Oh my God, it's the best. You have to look it up. It was before the streak was over, and she's hosting Saturday Night Live, and the opening, I think it was like the one of the first, and you remember better than me, but she passes and everybody has an Emmy, multiple Emmys, wearing them on a necklace, and then even one of the grips is hammering something with an Emmy.
And then when he turns around, he has a whole bunch of Emmys hanging off his belt. Amazing. And then they have a food cafeteria with corn holder Emmys. So everyone had multiple Emmys. And they don't worry, Susan, don't worry.
It's the best sketch. It's fantastic. So Susan, like, first there's just one, and then somebody else has an Emmy, and then somebody else, and then it becomes just like Emmy Palooza, and poor Susan's like.
And Susan, you're the one and only daytime person to ever host, I believe, right?
Oh wow, cool.
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't really think anybody.
Cool.
Which is, it is.
That is cool.
It's cool.
It is a great thing. Well, before I let you all go, especially Eden and Alicia, what do you think you have taken with you from your experience in Pine Valley that has stayed with you and you use today in all of your jobs since?
Well, now you're going to make me cry.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everything, so many things. I mean, it's, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to cry. It's a part of who I am now. I've taken just not how to be an actor, but how to really know yourself and tap into yourself and just how to, I don't know, I'm not speaking well, but how to just be and appreciate where you are and in your life and just enjoy yourself. And when I was at All My Children, I enjoyed myself on set, and I always was grateful, and I said thank you for my job and for this group of people that I work with, and now I bring that wherever I go. But really it gave me family and friends, gave me my husband and my child. I met my husband through my TV husband, Torsten K. So So, I mean, I met Richie through Torsten. So it gave me my husband, my child, the life I have, the good friends and family. And it gave me not everything, but it gave me a lot. So that's why it's such a special place to me. It wasn't just a job. It was really a second family.
Mm-hmm. Ditto everything. It's my husband and my children are because of All My Children.
Yes.
But Cameron Matheson introduced me to my husband. They were best friends growing up.
That's amazing. I love that.
These two women were at my wedding, as was Rebecca Budig and Cameron Matheson and Elizabeth Hendrickson, and they're my family, like they're my actual family. I think we were all three on the show at kind of the same ages, which is when you're still forming, like you're still forming. So it absolutely changed my DNA.
Who you are as a person,
who I am as a person.
As a person, as an actor, as a everything.
And honest, the honesty with which we all tried to approach the storytelling, the depth of the storytelling, and what we shared off screen, I think kind of also frees me up for the rest of my life. Like I always have All My Children. Like I always have it. I did I experienced something really great.
Right.
And everything else is just kind of
with Bianca. You really, that.
Well, I got to. I mean, it really wasn't me. I was a part of the whole thing, but I got to be a part of it.
Yes,
yeah. So everything else is kind of
and the way you play
extra.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, so it really is like, it's, you cannot extricate it from who you are. I'm sure that's true of a lot of experiences, but it was really something very, very special that will never be replicated.
I have to say too, I know you didn't ask me, but I
No,
feel
I was gonna ask, but go ahead.
Oh,
Please.
yeah.
The floor
Please.
is yours.
I want to hear.
I feel the same way. It's so much a part of who I was. That was a really good point you made, Eden, about each of us beginning on All My Children at around the same age. We were still forming. And I feel so lucky to have been around such intelligent people who had life experience. I had so much to learn, and a lot of it too. I was playing this character who was very complicated, but basically like the naughty girl in town, the bad girl in town. For myself, just myself at that age, I kept a lot of stuff inside. And reading the scripts that Agnes wrote, I remember being incredulous. I remember thinking, oh, how does she know that? How does she know that? And what it did was free me up and realize that it was okay to let some stuff out. And it was okay that I wasn't alone, that this was the human race. This was humanity.
Yeah.
Felt the way I felt because I could see Agnes writing about it.
Wow. That's a blessing.
So cool.
It's how Agnes felt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It must
be seen like
sharing
that.
part of herself. I'm sure there's so much of Agnes in Erica, especially.
Yeah.
To some degree. She was that book. I still go. Her book was amazing. Susan, did you? I mean, you took this job you started January of 1970, so maybe 1969 you might have had the part. Let's say, did you?
November of '69, I auditioned on camera. I had seen Joan Dincheco, who was also spectacular casting director. Because before Joan Dincheco, not every time, but a lot of times I'd be told I was too ethnic looking, and if only I had blonde hair or red hair or blue eyes or whatever, something, then I could work on television. But I probably would never work on television. And Joan Dincheco, put me up for a part that didn't have a vowel at the end of her name, Erica Kane. And Agnes, blue-eyed blonde from Memphis, Tennessee, had in mind somebody who was not what you normally would see on daytime television or any television at that time. Now, thank God, we've come a long way, baby, and there's room for everybody, and that's fantastic. But at that time, that's what it was like.
But did you ever think, when you had that screen test, that it would last for 41 years?
Oh no. And if I had even thought that it would, I wouldn't have think that I would be there at all. Because I was just out of college, my reference of time was 4 years. 4 years was all of high school. 4 years was all of college. And I had to sign a 4-year contract. And that was hard because those were lifetime commitments, 4 years and 4 years.
Yeah. I never thought I'd make it past 6 months. 4 years did seem like a really long time.
Really long time, right? And also, I was definitely not a two-sided contract because
the option was on their end.
On their end, and those the four of us who played the kids, the high school kids, we were on probation for the first 5 shows. So I was already kind of shy and I was already very nervous and wanted to do a really good job. But I knew that, we were being watched and judged. And if I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing in the first 5 episodes, I was out of there. And probably then after 13 weeks, I could be out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, think of how many, if we added up all those 13-week cycles for 41 years, that's too much stress to even think about.
Yeah.
Eden, I didn't ask you. I mean, how old are Henry and Jack? Are they too young to see signs of,
what they want to do?
Yeah.
Jack is 10 and
Oh,
Henry
okay, so no.
is 7. So Jack is a big reader and writer. He's very creative. He actually has a weekly comic strip that he puts out.
Oh, how nice.
I know. Yes, it's just like our
Well,
friends
Willow's
and
going to
family
produce
members.
his comic strip.
Exactly.
But he's disciplined about it. He comes up with a like, they're funny. He comes up with a gag every week. He draws them, and like he's got several series of stuff that he revisits. Sometimes they're
Amazing.
political. Sometimes they're about. He has a states series where the states are competing with each other. It's very funny. And then Henry is very into anything that crawls or flies, caterpillars, bugs. There's always something growing in our house, ladybugs and cat. Right now we have cecropia moths that are in their cocoon. So he's seriously into it, and he will find a worm, a creepy crawly, just about anywhere we go, and then it ends up in the house until I'm like, let's put it outside.
Susan, is it wild seeing these two ladies as moms? Like, just from, you're a mom, you played their mom.
Well, it is. I mean, we were still on All My Children, I think, when Willow was born. I remember Willow being
The water broke on set. That's right.
On set.
right.
Yep.
Wow.
I gave birth early. That's right. That's right, Susan. Yes.
So I remember that.
Yeah.
And Eden and I when we moved to LA, then I was seeing Eden quite frequently in LA, and you didn't have those boys yet, but
Not yet.
we were definitely married and fabulous together. And I remember hearing that you had the Jack
the kids.
and Henry.
Yeah.
Love their names too. It's just,
Thank you.
I just don't have to know in the world that each of these wonderful human beings are fantastic mothers. I couldn't imagine anything but that they're the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, ladies, I know the fans. I've seen the messages go by. You have made their week, their year. Like we said backstage, it's been a long time since All My Children was on the air, and our daytime fans continue to miss these characters that you all played. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you to Stephen Bergman for introducing me to Alicia and Eden. So I appreciate that. Ladies, stay well. I hope to see you again. Hope to see you maybe in person one day.
Yeah.
That would be great.
But it's so great that we can do this even so far apart. I miss you all so much.
You too.
I mean, I just can't wait till we get together again.
Yeah, we have to do that.
We have to. We
So
have
great.
to.
Yeah.
Please, give my love to Stephen Bergman, okay?
I
Alan?
will do that.
And mine as well.
absolutely.
Mine as well.
Even because we wouldn't be here doing this if he didn't reach out. And thank you, Alan. And look, it's just us now.
Oh, I can't wait to make it all be
I know.
Oh my gosh.
That would be incredible. Oh,
And I don't know what just happened.
We're still here. This is how we chat.
God.
Good.
But thank you so much for doing this. Stay well, everybody.
Thank you, Alan. This was so fun.
thank you, Alan. This was so fun.
This
Bye
was-
bye.
We could do this for 5 hours,
I
I know
know.
you could. I was afraid because I know Eden's got to work. So
Yes, I know. But it's okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you, Susan Lucci, Eden Riegel, Alicia Minshew, Stephen Bergman for putting this together. I couldn't have done it without you, Stephen. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can do so down below. Turn on the notifications to get reminders of all upcoming shows. See you tomorrow, everybody, when Laura Wright stops by to celebrate 30 years in daytime television. Have a great day, everybody. I meant to show that. Bye, everybody.